I want to return now to that environment report that came out today. Tanya Plibersek was absolutely scathing of the former government for keeping this report under wraps, calling out my next guest by name.
As well as this distrust, there was willful damage inflicted as well. From Tony Abbott to Scott Morrison, from Barnaby Joyce to Matt Canavan, the Liberals and Nationals came to power with a mission to put the environment last.
Barnaby Joyce joins me now. Barnaby, what was your reaction to being named and shamed by Tanya Plibersek today?
Well, socialism rides in on the back of a horse called Righteous Crusade, doesn't it? And there you saw it. We know where this all ends up. It becomes yet another caveat that imposes itself on private assets under the guise of environmentalism. We heard them talking about wanting more water out of the rivers, and cultural water and environmental water. Well, I hope the people in Shepparton were listening to that intently tonight, because it's going to come out of the commerce of your town. You are going to become poorer. And for the people watching this, every time you put a further restriction on farming, and that's what this is all about, is further restrictions on farming, you reduce the supply of food and you pay for it. Ultimately, you pay for it. And I was waiting for Tanya to actually give us a bit of an insight into what she's going to do about the possible incursion of foot and mouth into Australia, which will be devastating to this nation. If you like milk in your shop, or cheese, or yogurt, or butter, or beef, or lamb, or pork, or sausages, or mince. Didn't hear anything about that. Apparently environmentalism doesn't involve trying to keep foot and mouth out of Australia. But what they do is they go onto this, we're now going to have more police, more environmental police, wandering over your land, finding evil people. And isn't that the way socialists always work? They always work with a righteous crusade that puts another caveat on your asset. And is Tanya Plibersek, she's the princess of socialism.
Yeah, they dress everything up as a moral cause. But what do you make of this theory, though? The government didn't release this report. That was a strategic blunder, because any succeeding government was always going to use it as a weapon to kick the predecessors with. Why didn't you bring it out? Why didn't you tackle it full on and just say this is a load of bunkum and it's full of half-truth and misleading suppositions?
Well, some of the authors aren't even, I don't know what if you look through the credentials of some of the authors, you have to say why they're actually there. But if it was a mistake, it was a mistake that was made. I must say it must have been a ripple on a pond, because I can't even remember when the issue was brought up about the report. Maybe they thought it was just such an utter load of claptrap that it wasn't worth releasing. But as soon as you give the right report to the right person, you can tell you what they're going to say before they even release it. They're going to say, we need more trees, more water, less people, and we need to reduce the temperature of the globe. And we're going to do that by putting a tax on you and putting up wind towers and putting up solar panels and stopping you building dams and taking cattle off the countryside and stop growing cotton, stop growing rice. I even heard them about wheat today. Stop growing wheat. God help you. Maybe you want to make bread out of barley. Oh, no, you won't even be able to do that. But people have got to realise what they're doing to themselves.
They want us to eat bugs.
When you go to the shop...
That's what they want, Barnaby. They want us to eat bugs.
When you go to the shop and you complain... Well, you go to the shop and you say, my grocery bill has gone through the roof. Well, you voted for it, mate. You wanted it. This is 2050. Welcome to righteous poverty. Here it is. And you look at your fuel bill and you go, my fuel bill is so dear. Well, that's what the world wants. That's it. This is it. It's coming. And then your power bill, it's gone through the roof. Well, mate, you voted for it. You voted for it. Of course, it's gone through the roof. You voted for it. But here's the big swindle. Somebody somewhere is getting the money. So you're paying, you're feeling poor, but somebody somewhere is getting the cash.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. One of the things that I noticed today, though, was that Plibersek said to other politicians, it was a bit of a warning, really. She wants them to support progress, not perfection on climate policy. I mean, just do something, she said. What a terrible attitude for a government to have. Firstly, there is no perfection on climate policy because it's just all posturing. Secondly, progress in the name of these socialists is just doing something that they like. And it doesn't matter what it is, as long as we do something or seem to be doing it. I mean, how out of touch can they be?
Well, it's just look at this, Cory. Look at this beautiful. Look up there, that great arc of heaven. There it is above us. Apparently, Cory, you are in a blessed place in Canberra. There are people in a room down there who can change that. They're very clever. Change that. They're like gods. They can't change a tyre. They wouldn't be able to, build a brick wall, but they can change the climate. And they do it by passing legislation that taxes people. That's how they do it. It says like a tax, and I've always said, if taxes made the world get cooler, the place would be an icebox, because Canberra's brilliant at that.
Ain't that the truth? I mean, some of them can't even open their own car doors or go to the shop and buy a coffee for themselves without an entourage floating around fluffing them all the time. Anyway, you're not one of those, Barnaby Joyce. I've seen you in action, and I really appreciate your work. Thanks very much for joining me on Paul Murray tonight.